Yeah, this is gonna be a tough battle. You've been forcing us to argue over every little detail for a while now. While where the murder happened, the order of the victim's injuries, some other things I hardly even remember. But you needn't have bothered, my boy, because it's all irrelevant in the end. Think about it. The suspect herself has already said she did it. Just because she confessed to something doesn't make it the truth. Kay is suffering from amnesia, so any statement she makes should be taken with at least a grain of salt.
Objection.
Even so, it doesn't exactly solve anything for us, does it, dear boy? And it would be nonsensical to dismiss her confession outright. I'll tell you what, why don't we ask her one last time? Though I'm sure she'll just say she did it again. Fine, let's do it. Let's ask her again. We'll see if she really believes herself to be the culprit. Huh? You mean me? Is this really what you want, Mr. Edgeworth? If it goes badly, it could significantly weaken your position. I know, but there's no other way. I only request that I be the one to question her. You really know how to tug at an old man's heartstring, you know? But fine, ask away. On one condition. If this turns out to be a waste of time, that's it. We'll call the proceedings to an end, then and there. Agreed? Call the proceedings to an end? You mean the hearing? Yes, dear boy, that's right. Perhaps you aren't a complete muddlehead after all. Now, just so we're clear, if we ask again and all that happens is the girl confirms her guilt, she is officially declared guilty on the spot. Yes, that sounds like a great plan if I do say so myself. That's it? You just declare her guilty just like that? That's the gist of it. It's a big risk, but he's going to find a way to condemn her either way if we don't do something. Kay. Yes? I know it's a lot to ask, but I need you to think. Do you remember anything else about what happened on the day of the murder? Anything that might help us prove your innocence? Why are you still fighting it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's no use. I can't be of help to you. I'm sorry. I'm too scared to try and remember anymore. What if I remember something even worse? And if I did, I'd just be making more trouble for you. Please, just accept it. The Kay you thought you knew is a dangerous criminal. A criminal who let you down and betrayed your trust. Don't worry, Kay. You have nothing to be afraid of. I may not have known you for very long, but I know you well enough. And right now, I'd say I know you better than you know yourself. You would never commit a murder. You could never. Because this is who you really are. Her Yatagarasu pin! You're the great thief, Yatagarasu. A noble outlaw who would never stoop so low as to kill. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Because all I can see is the one memory that's returned. I have to face it.
Hold it!
No. The only evidence of your guilt is the confession they forced out of you. As I said earlier, you have to believe that you're better than that. Or are you saying you don't believe a word of what I've been telling you? No, it's not that. You're trying so hard to help me. And you're risking so much for me. It's too much. You have to stop. I'm begging you. Ah, so that's what's going on. I thought it was strange, but now I see. The reason you're allowing yourself to be railroaded into accepting your fate is because of me, which is exactly what the Kay I know would have done. You're a good person, Mr. Edgeworth. Sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm not. And I don't plan on becoming one anytime soon. Because despite all your wishes to the contrary, I'm still trying to help you. So you see, I've merely been servicing my own ego, regardless of what I put you through. Now, let's try this again. See the good in yourself, Kay. Remember the noble thief you truly are. That memory of you committing the murder, you need to question it with all you have. That's all I ask. So please, do it for me. Kay! What's wrong? Did you remember something? Oh, it'd be like some cliche movie plot if she did.
A cow.
A cow?
Mr. Edgeworth, if you could perhaps ask her for a few more details.
Well, Kay, what can you tell us about this cow?
I remember now. The person in the red raincoat, she had it in her hand. A stuffed cow. I can see it so clearly now.
Are you sure, Miss Farden? Are you absolutely certain?
Yes, I'm sure.
Then this court acknowledges the defendant's latest statements as new testimony.
Objection.
Have you lost your mind, Verity? We can't accept testimony like this.
With all due respect, Mr. Chairman, information pertaining to the victim and her possessions is
new and highly relevant evidence.
Objection.
Need I remind you of the addled state of her memory? No, this simply won't do.
Addled? But if we claim her memory is unreliable now, then our own argument is weakened, sir. You said yourself only a few minutes ago that thanks to the suspect's confession, we need not worry ourselves over the finer details. Did you not? Were we to call the validity of her memories into question? Then we must also call into question the confession on which our entire argument is based. Is that really the most advisable course of action?
Yes, you're right. Proceed as you see fit, then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We're still in the game, but only by the skin of our teeth, and only thanks to Judge Gavel's intervention.
It's almost as if she was on our side for a second. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, the stuffed animal?
I believe the cow in question is this thing here, Your Honor. We found it in the storeroom and believe it is yet another auction lot.
Wait, that's... Do you know something, Gavel? No, it's just not what I'd imagined.
I suppose it is a rather odd thing for the victim to have been carrying. I should look it over carefully. The right horn seems intact, but I can't say it's doing much for the overall symmetry of the stuffed toy.
Look, Mr. Edgeworth, it moves.
It does?
Sounds like sand being crushed.
It would seem there's a recording device hidden inside. And
I knew it was you the moment I laid eyes on you. You can't hide that burn from me. Nothing to say for yourself? I've waited so long for this day, and now I'll finally have my revenge. Ah!
Could this be the moment of the murder?
And someone made a recording of it.
Hey, that's them right there. Them's the voices I heard. Sure as eggs is eggs.
Unfortunately, we have no way of verifying when these voices were recorded. It's possible they have nothing to do with the murder. If only there was some accompanying video footage.
You got bugs in your ears or something, lady? I done told you. Them's the voices I heard. And we already know the victim was holding that thing, right? So it's gotta be from when she got.
Yes, it is a possibility, but a weak one without more than your word to back it up. We need something more, something credible.
We need. Yet again, she seems to be stepping in help. Judge Gavel, I think we all know the voices are from the moment of the murder. Consider for a moment the words we heard one of the speakers say. I knew it was you the moment I laid eyes on you. You can't hide that burn from me. I believe we have something that could explain what those words are referring to and how it's all related. Which piece of evidence proves that the voices are from when the murder occurred? The coroner's findings.
Take that!
The coroner's preliminary findings? How do they prove anything?
Indeed. What on this page shows that the voices must be from the time of the murder? I know. Present the phrase, burn mark. Think again on the words we heard. This part in particular sticks out in my mind. You can't hide that burn from me. The victim had a prominent burn mark on the back of her right hand. And what of it? According to case testimony, the victim was carrying the stuffed cow toy, and a bird mark, an identifying mark unique to the victim, was mentioned on the recording at CAPCOM.
Ha! It's just a coincidence. Stuff like that happens all the time, right? I'm not so sure that it does, especially not in this case. The court accepts that the recording may be from the time of the murder.
In which case, one of the two voices must belong to the real culprit. And based on the content of the conversation, it seems likely that it's the one we hear the most.
But that still doesn't tell us anything about the killer's true identity, or even if they're male or female.
Due to the voice changes, correct? Unfortunate, but unavoidable.
One thing, however, has become clear. We are now able to say that the voices Miss Hart heard were those of Miss Ringer and her killer. Just like I done told you they was.
We can say something else now, too.
Then let's hear it. That is, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Do as you wish.
According to Miss Hart, just before the murder occurred, two people came up to the storeroom from the committee chamber on the elevator. The ringleader and one of the auction attendants. It seems this was the point at which money exchanged hands. The murder happened immediately afterward, and the auction carried on after that, all of which points to one key fact.
What else does the latest revelation tell us? The ringleader was the killer. Since the ringleader was the auction's sole auctioneer, then it follows that they cannot be the victim.
Hey, Cavell. Not right now, Eustace. There's a good boy.
And if they weren't the victim, then they can only have been the killer.
A compelling argument, but hardly conclusive.
I am fully aware of that, Your Honor. I was merely warming up for the main event. There were certain traces left on the scene that seemed to suggest that the ringleader was the killer.
Then please hurry up and show us.
What is something that was placed on the scene that points to the ringleader as having been the killer? Simple. The committee chamber blood.
Take that!
The killer deliberately left a large pool of blood at the foot of the Goddess of Justice statue. It was due to that blood that we originally thought the murder had happened in this chamber. But it was simply a ruse designed to cover up the blood that had dripped down from the storeroom.
In order to conceal the existence of the underground auction, correct?
Correct. If the culprit had nothing to do with the auction, they wouldn't have had no reason to cover up the blood, which further supports the theory that the ringleader and the killer were one and the same.
And as to the identity of the ringleader, do you have anyone you'd like to name?
The auction is always held in this committee chamber, with its storeroom located just overhead. So at the very least, we know the murderous ringleader has some connection to the committee. Yes. And you suspect me, correct? As the committee's most powerful member, that should obviously rise, right?
Objection!
You're a fine prosecutor, that much I'll give you. But as I think I may have mentioned already, you're also hopelessly naive. You got nothing, dear boy, have you? No evidence whatsoever. Unless you've got something to share after all? Do I have any evidence to show that Chairman Winter is the murderer? No. It was Chairman Winter himself who brought up the fact that I suspected. And he seemed confident right from the get-go that he's untouchable. Which means he knows. He knows I have nothing. Oh, well, Maz, my boy, time to pay the piper. I've always wanted to say that. Verity is all yours.
Wait, dang it. I just remembered something. Huh? Did you have amnesia too? Nah, it just done came to me. Flash of inspiration. You know how it is. Very well. Say your piece.
Objection!
What are you doing, Verity?
Mr. Edgeworth has made it clear that he won't give up until every last lick of hope has been extinguished. so extinguish we must, lest he try to drag us through this excruciating process again in the future.
Yeah, what she said. I don't quite get it, but it sounded pretty cool. Don't worry, Dad, I'll help Yardell bring this to a winning finish.
We'll show them how wrong they are.
Fine. Let's hear what the witness has to say.
You heard the chairman, Miss Hart, if you would be so kind. Well, all right then. Here goes nothing.
The facts, Miss Hart, and nothing but the facts, please.
Don't you worry your pretty little head on that front. I'm a journalist. Truth's my middle name.
Calling me officially worried.
So the ringleader's the killer, right? Which makes the victim one of them auction goers. Thing is, that don't add up. I counted 11 people coming down that hatch, see? Then the murder happened, and then the auction started right back up again. Now, I had me a look back downstairs right after that.
No.
And what did you know it? There were 11 little duckies all lined up in a row.
How?
Are you sure of this, Miss Hart? Sure can be, your gable ship. So I'm with my own 2 peepers. So, 11 before the murder, and 11 again right after means... Wait, that's a thingy?
A contradiction, Eustace. Do try to keep up.
Miss Hart, did nothing really change at all? I done told you already. They carried right on again like nothing even happened. Oh, except for... It wasn't nothing much, but... What is it? That little old mallet doodad. Can't have yourself an auction without one. Kinda like the one Missy over there's got, but different. The auctioneer's hammer? That's the bunny. I done heard that thing banging and clanging right the way through. Then nothing, just like that. So the noise of the hammer stopped midway through? Could it have something to do with the murder? Well. If what Miss Hart is telling us is true, we have something of a problem. Namely, that if the victim is neither the auctioneer nor one of the attendees, your entire theory cannot stand, Mr. Edgeworth.
Chalk one up for justice. Eat that, Edgeworth.
See, Mr. Edgeworth, there really was nothing we could do.
No, there must be something we're overlooking. Something we still don't have an explanation for. I just need to think. If I can't, Kay is... All right, kids. We finally have all our answers now. If so, then I expect you to make good on...
Hold it! One moment, sir. I worry that it might still be a little early to pass judgment. After all, we have one more matter yet to resolve. And until we do, we cannot claim complete and total victory over Mr. Edgeworth. Is that not so, Mr. Edgeworth? Frankly, I expected you to have raised your voice by now. A loud, hold it, perhaps.
Oh, yes, of course. Once again, she has rescued us from the jaws of defeat. Very well. Let's get this over with, shall we? What is this one matter that still remains?
Why, the contradiction in the coroner's report, sir.
That's... I'm back with the witnesses, Your Honor.
What's this all about? Why'd you call us back down here? Did somebody suddenly fall ill? I'll have a compress ready in 2 sheets of... Ouch! This better be good. Did somebody else drop dead? Well, they might soon wish they had. Dr. Hertz, Miss Niedler, thank you for coming on such short notice. Let me assure you this won't take long. Quit trying to butter me up and cut to the chase, will you? Of course. We summoned you here to confirm something. What is Judge Gabel up to? Dr. Hertz, this court asks that you provide the unabridged truth regarding the following. Do you stand by your preliminary findings? Can you vouch for their complete and total accuracy? Grandma doesn't make mistakes. Ever. That's strange. Huh? What do you mean? In the course of this trial, an error was indeed found in her report. And so I ask again for the truth, Dr. Hertz. Did you alter, tamper with, or in any way falsify your findings? That's awful! How can you even say that? What are you asking me for? Why the heck would I want to do that? To help the true culprit, of course. As if I know anything about all that. I just know I didn't do anything of the sort. Then that seems doubly strange. What other explanation could there be for the discrepancy in your report? Mr. Edgeworth, I wonder if you might have any thoughts on the matter. It's not like you to be coy, I must say. Why does she keep taking charge and helping? I still don't know what she's trying to do, but I'll happily take what I can get. If everything was recorded accurately and then handed off to Mr. Winner according to protocol, then the report shouldn't contain any mistakes.
Wait! For the record, I didn't do anything to report.
I guess we'll see, won't we? Dr. Hertz, perhaps you can begin with your side of the story.
Why do we even need to? This is pointless.
I'll be the judge of what's pointless, thank you very much.
We have patients waiting back at the hospital. But Grandma, ouch! We really don't have time for this.
Won't you please help us? I can't stress how important this is.
Grandma says she'll testify. But could you please make it quick? If we're not back soon, people will suffer.
And yet you had no qualms about taking your time and buying cotton candy the last time we saw it. We'll let you go as soon as we can, I promise. Assuming you tell us the truth, that is.
Testimony. The so-called mistake in the report. No way there's a mistake in Grandma's report. Not never. I've been dealing with the dead longer than you've been alive, Sonny Jim. Me writing something wrong is about as likely as ouch. And what the heck do you think I'd stand to gain by doctoring a file? Don't make a lick of sense. And that's all she has to say. Nothing funky here.
See? It's just as I thought. There's no chance the good doctor doctored her findings.
And you swear by the Holy Goddess that this testimony is true? Of course! Grandma's never told a lie in her.
Objection!
Your opinions are not necessary, Nurse Niedler. Your grandmother is the subject of this inquiry, not you.
Not necessary? That's not fair. I'm the only ally poor Grandma has.
Go ahead and shout objection left and right, but you'd be best prepared then, Mr. Ex-Prosecutor. Oh, I'm more than prepared. I'm ready to expose the truth behind the error in the report. Yup.
No way there's a mistake in Grandma's report. Not never. I've been dealing with the dead longer than you've been alive, Sonny Jim. Me writing something wrong about as likely as ouch!
Hold it!
The victim appears to have put this raincoat on after sustaining the head injury, and yet there was not a single drop of her blood in the chest area of the raincoat. Therefore, she must have been hit in the head before she was stabbed in the chest, making it pre-mortem.
Oh, that's ouch.
I don't need you to teach me how to suck eggs, young man. My day report already says what you just said, don't it? Be right back.
Alright, I'm back. Had to get a drink.
Let's continue.
Objection!
Your report states that the head injury appears to have been sustained post-mortem, which is the exact opposite of what I just said.
Oh, sure. I diligently dictated that report to Florence here, and she wrote it all down just like I said it. If something happened to it after that, weren't nothing to do with me.
You dictated it? If you could please tell me more.
I diligently dictated that report to Florence. Anything after that, weren't nothing to do with me. Are you sure about that?
Dr. Hertz, I'd like you to take a look at the report for yourself.
Oh, I'll read it too. Ouch! This ain't what I said. This ain't what I said at all.
What? What do you mean exactly?
I don't know. But I can't say that. Miss Niedler, if you are attempting to bury Dr. Hertz's truth, I will gladly hear her confession myself on behalf of the Goddess of Justice.
Dr. Hertz seems to be telling Judge Gabel something in private.
What? I see. Very well. Allow me to relate to everyone what you have just told me. Ain't no doubt about what I said. I dictated my findings to Florence just like I told you I did. The fuddle-headed young thing must have wrote it down wrong or something.
Wow, that was a great impression.
Yes, it wasn't really necessary. So in summary, there is an error in the report, and it was all because of you, Nurse Niedler.
The true facts have now been shown to be that the head injury occurred prior to the chest wound. The question now, Miss Niedler, is why did you introduce such an error?
Just a minute, Verity. You make it sound as if the poor girl did it deliberately, whereas it seems to me she just made a little mistake. Pre-mortem, post-mortem, they're practically the same word, don't you think?
Except they mean two completely opposite things.
This was deliberate. No doubt about it.
But why would she want to change it? Exactly. Things can... Ouch!
You won't get away that easy. Explain yourself, young lady.
But Grandma,
You submitted a falsified report, an act that led to Kay being accused of murder. You owe us an explanation.
I can't. I can't tell you.
Not don't want to, but can't? This is really rather unpleasant, don't you think? Ganging up on this poor considerate girl who's only looking after her grandmother. She has nothing to do with anything. She simply made one tiny mistake. So why not leave it there? You'd like that, wouldn't you? Because the only person her testimony would hurt is you. What on earth do you mean, my boy? Seeing as you're now a de facto ex-prosecutor, you're gonna need to explain yourself better than that. I'd be happy to. I'll even spell it out for you. Nurse Niedler's role in this crime was very important because she is a co-conspirator. Nurse Niedler doctored the report in order to cover for her accomplice.
Ouch!
So she's a co-conspirator, this innocent young thing? Do share your grounds for making such a wild accusation, dear boy. The murder couldn't have been committed by one person working on their own. Without at least two people, it wouldn't have been possible to maintain attendee numbers. If the auctioneer was the murderer, and the victim was one of the attendings, the fact that a witness testified to there being 11 attendees even after the murder doesn't make sense.
Hey, watch it! Y'all gotta call my good word in the question now, too?
That's not what I meant. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I'm taking you at your word, which means there must be a co-conspirator. I know it's hard, my boy, but sometimes you just have to accept that you were wrong. Objection! I wasn't wrong. I just hadn't considered the possibility of the killer having an accomplice. But as soon as we do, things start to fall into place. If the killer's accomplice returned to the auction room in place of the victim, there would indeed have been 11 attendees both before and after the murder. Well, that's your thinking, is it? It's certainly an intriguing theory. But surely the imposter wouldn't have been spotted right away. I don't imagine that Nurse Niedler looks strikingly different from the victim in building statue. With the help of a mask, you could very easily have replaced Miss Ringer without anybody noticing. Well, Nurse Niedler, is that what happened? Did you take the victim's place at the auction?
I wouldn't do something like...
Now tell us, the ringleader. Who were they?
I can't tell you. I just can't. It hurt Grandma, too. Ow! But Grandma!
Don't you worry about me. I can take it. You just tell me everything, child.
But...
Grandma! So I was right. She was an accomplice.
Miss Niedler, why?
Well, Miss Niedler, can you explain yourself?
Yes. Huh? Oh, thank you, Grandma. But I'm all right now. I confess it. I changed places with Miss Ringer.
So you admit that you were working with the ringleader?
Yeah, I was helping them. I don't know how, but they found out Miss Ringer was going to attack them.
the culprit was going to be attacked by the victim.
They seemed pretty sure it was going to happen that night, so they made a counterplan. They wanted to strike first, and they wanted me to help. I was told to go to the storeroom before the auction began and wait there.
Now hold on right there, Missy. I didn't see nothing and my eyes don't lie. If you'd have been there from before the auction, I would have bumped right into you. I was there the whole way through and you weren't there for a bit of it.
But I'm not lying.
Well, that's easy for you to say, but you were lying about altering that report only a few minutes ago.
Objection!
Huh. I think we're all well aware of the number of potential hiding places in that storeroom.
Are we? Where exactly are you trying to say our friend the nurse was hiding,
Nurse Niedler hid here while she was waiting in the storeroom. The clothes box.
Take that!
She hid inside this clothes box.
Oh, she did she?
Huh? Well, it was there the whole time, even before I moseyed on in. Like I done told y'all, I had all them chains around. Wanted to hide in there myself, really, but it was locked up tight, so I had to go elsewhere. I imagine that's because Nurse Niedler was already lying in there by the time you arrived.
That's right. We didn't want anybody to open it, or would have really blown our cover. So the ringleader told me to climb in and wait until it was time for my part of the plan. And then they wrapped the whole box up in chains. I think they took the elevator downstairs not so long after. It was just before the auction was to start.
So as the auction was beginning, you and Miss Hart would have been the only people in the storeroom?
Yeah, I think so.
The auction proceeded as it always did, until a certain customer came upstairs to complete a purchase. That was when the incident occurred. Miss Hart overheard the victim and the culprit exchanging words around them.
You betcha! I was behind that statue there, shaking like a dang leaf the whole time.
In the middle of that brawl, Miss Ringer was killed by the auctioneer. I imagine that the auctioneer then carried Miss Ringer's body over the clothes box, from which Nurse Niedler emerged and swapped places with the victim. After placing Miss Ringer's body inside the box, Nurse Niedler's role now was to pretend to be Miss Ringer. The two of them then returned to the room below as if nothing had happened. Is that about some of what happened in the storeroom, Nurse Niedler?
Yes. In fact, that's exactly what happened.
Hold up! So you just waltzed right back on in and nobody noticed? This is two completely different people we're talking about. You're telling me not a one of the other folks down there at the auction cottoned on? Why would they? The other auction goers had no reason to notice the difference when Nurse Niedler entered because she had stolen the victim's clothes. As we've seen, Miss Ringer and Nurse Niedler are about the same build. What's more, the auction rules required attendees to wear their masks at all times. If Nurse Niedler were wearing the same clothes as Miss Ringer, nobody would have been any the wiser.
No, and they weren't. I borrowed Miss Ringer's clothes and ouch!
And left the poor child in her smalls? Have you no respect, girl?
No, Grandma, I thought the same thing. It wouldn't be nice to leave her like that. So when the ringleader wasn't looking, I put that raincoat on her.
So that's how Miss Ringer came to be wearing it. Thus, the auction was able to carry on as before. Yes, the part where I caught the red raincoat on film came just after. Yeah, must be. And it all makes sense. Right after that was when I went on over and looked downstairs through the gap in that elevator. Spied me 11 happy little auction goers, then back in I snuck to my little hidey hole. Don't tell me you were hiding back there the entire time after that.
Well, that is not exactly.
What is it? Did something happen? So maybe I ought to have mentioned this before, but I fell asleep for a few winks after that. Well, passed out. Unconscious, you might say.
What? What happened?
Oh, nothing much. Kinda silly, really, but there was this sudden loud noise, and it startled me. Just a little bit, you know? Alright, maybe more than a little, but I just witnessed a murder. Can't blame a girl for getting jumped. Guess that got my heart shook and my head made. Before I knew it, I was out like a light. By the time I came to, it was the next dang day, and there y'all were clanking down that ladder. I see. So you were startled by a loud noise and fell unconscious. I suppose that means you don't know what happened after that. Not per se, but, well, after the auction was over, all the masks were back on the rack.
So I reckon the guests done finished up and filed out one by one like they were supposed to.
Nurse Niedler, once the auction had restarted, what exactly were you doing?
I was pretending to be Miss Ringer and placing bids just as the ringleader wanted. I had to win the clothes box as I had been instructed. I had a dead body inside after all. Imagine if somebody else had won it. We would have been in real trouble then.
So you had no idea that the victim had vacated the box in the meantime?
No, not until we came back up so I could pay for it. That was when we noticed. The ringleader told me to go look for her right away. Except I found some other girl collapsed at the foot of the ladder instead.
Kay.
Yes, she must have fallen from up on the roof and been knocked unconscious. Yes, the victim must have left the hatch wide open, huh?
That would explain it. Kay would have been so shocked by seeing Miss Ringer fall motionless right in front of her that she wouldn't have seen the open hatch and fallen right through it. That explains the noise that caused you to faint as well, Miss Hart. It was the sound of Kay crash landing onto the storeroom floor.
Yeah, I suppose. Can't believe something like that done knocked me out for so long, though.
So in summary, by the time Miss Niedler found Kay, you were already sound asleep behind the statue. I think we've got a good grasp on what occurred up to this point now. Nurse Niedler, if you would continue.
Sure. So I found Kay, and next I found Miss Ringer, and I put them both in the clothes box. We couldn't risk any of the auction goers seeing them. That would have caused a real hullabaloo.
Was that your idea, or the ringleader's?
Theirs. But putting the raincoat on Miss Ringer was my own idea. So I tried to get rid of it before they found out what I'd done.
I imagine they were none too pleased when it showed up as a surprise piece of evidence in this case.
And lastly, the ringleader and I put her in an auctioneer's outfit we prepared.
Of course, which completed the deception and made everyone think she was the auctioneer.
All in all, the auction finished up without anybody noticing anything. And that was that.
Now that we know the extent of your crimes, Nurse Niedler, if you have anything further to share, I advise you to do so immediately.
I wish I could tell you more, but I'm sorry. That's all I know. Oh, except for one other thing. It did seem a little strange, I guess. When I was borrowing Miss Ringer's clothes, I took everything I could, but I couldn't take her hair, obviously, so ouch. You're dang right you couldn't take her hair. What kind of medical professional are you?
That's where you draw the line? So taking her clothes was okay?
Our hair was totally different. The style, the length, everything. I kind of panicked. But the ringleader thought of everything, including wigs. 2 of them, in fact. There was a straight one and a wavy one. They were both stashed in the clothes box.
2 wigs? But why?
Right? I wondered that too. I thought maybe they were worried she might have changed up her style. I took the straight one. That was the one that matched her hair on that day.
Leaving a wavy wig in the box. That could explain a whole lot. And that's everything you know? There's nothing else you're forgetting?
No. Huh? No, really, Grandma. That's everything.
And I take it that you really have no idea who the ringleader might be?
Sorry. I only know that they were in charge of the auction. I didn't see them without their mask on. And they were pretty careful to keep their identity a secret from everyone.
I can't get something concrete on them. Well, Miles, we about done? You've proven the nurse was part of the murder plot, but sadly for you, it doesn't change a whole lot. Because it does nothing to prove that Kate Faraday isn't the ringleader. And justice must prevail. We can't change the law, even for your sake. Is this it? Am I not going to be able to save Kay?
Objection!
Franny with the clutch. Francisca, what are you doing here?
As I told you before, Miles Edgeworth, where the case leads, I follow. Your dedication is an inspiration to us all. But don't go getting the wrong idea, little brother. I'm only here to deliver the truth regarding the suspect. I'm certainly not here to forgive you,
for abandoning the way of the prosecutor.
I understand that.
You should thank your former subordinate for what I'm about to share. In his desperation to help Kay Faraday, he gave me a valuable piece of information.
Detective Gumshoe did that?
Prepare yourself, Miles Edgeworth, for the final piece of the puzzle. Rosie Ringer's head wound was the first of the injuries she suffered, not the second. Well, someone say something.
Yes, there's no easy way to say this, Francisca, but we already proved that ourselves.
You... what?
Yes, just a few minutes ago!
Well, why didn't you say so sooner?
You didn't exactly give us a chance.
And I suppose you know about the murder weapon, too?
No, not yet.
Good. And listen up. The victim was struck on the head with a blunt object bearing a circular surface, and the wounds to the chest were actually inflicted post-mortem.
A circular surface.
Objection. And you're certain of that, I assume? Your sources are above board?
2 trusted medical professionals reached the same conclusion independently. You couldn't ask for more.
Objection. That's certainly good to know. Unfortunately, you're overstepping the bounds of...
Of what? I am the prosecutor in charge of Interpol's investigation into the underground auction. And this murder occurred during that auction. It would be negligent of me not to pursue leads pertaining to related parties. Especially the victim.
My. You've really become quite the force to be reckoned with, haven't you, my dear?
Then all parties are in agreement. The victim died from a blow to the head.
Yep.
Sadly, the murder weapon itself has yet to be identified.
Based on the shape, I might have an idea or two. But guys, I didn't turn up any other weapon during my investigation. And yet one need only think about the setting and an auctioneer's tools and the answer should be obvious. An object with a circular surface used in an auction. We're obviously talking about the auctioneer's hammer. What would an auctioneer have readily at hand? An auctioneer's hammer, of course. But we never found one of those.
If the auctioneer was indeed the killer, it does seem a likely candidate for the murder weapon. But without the evidence to support your theory, it remains nothing more than that.
Sorry, I had to cut out the noise. Oh, I have just the evidence you need right here. This piece of evidence strongly suggests that the auctioneer's hammer was the murder weapon. Not Nurse Niedler's statement, but Miss Hart's statement. Miss Hart told us something very important about the auction after the murder had occurred. She said that the very prominent sound of the auctioneer's hammer could no longer be heard. Now, why would that be? I'll tell you why. Because it had just been used in a murder and was covered in the victim's blood. It would need to be disposed of. Isn't that right, Chairman Winner?
I'll have our people look into this right away.
You really are like a dog with a bone, aren't you, dear boy? But if you can't dedicate yourself to a cause when you're young, when can you,
He seems very confident we'll never find it.
Very well. A search for the murder weapon will be conducted. In the meantime, this court is in recess.
Interruptions aside, this is a two-parter. I do this because I have to, and it's kind of a reason why this is so important. Well, why do you think that? Anyway, I will see you for when we concluded. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell. I will see you in the next one. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. Product provided by Capcom.